I have two superpowers, right? And the first one is I don't believe life is a journey to gather the right answers so much as it is the right question. In the end, Josh, I think that those that ask the right question win. You're going to solve a problem. Okay. When you solve that problem, you get a solution. Every solution creates a new problem. So, what's the new problem you're creating? Solve for that while you're out there, too.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Blue is the New White podcast. I'm super excited about our guest here today. As you guys know, the first of the year, we have pivoted or realigned. I hate the word pivoted. Let's call it realign the podcast to talk to people who can help blue-collar business owners of the world navigate their business, grow their teams, really get a grasp in their arms around success and what that means to them and how they can navigate through all the stress and the BS and everything that comes with business ownership, right? So my guest today is going to be a surefire, awesome conversation with a ton of insight. His name is Jeremiah or Jer Webb. Welcome to the Blue is the New White podcast, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks. I'm super happy to be here. It's an honor. You've built quite a name for yourself, and I really appreciate it.
Well, you're going to help me keep doing that, and more importantly, our audience keep learning. So, thank you for spending your valuable time with us. So, first and foremost, I've got to ask. I want to set the stage for everybody listening out there. Jared, what are you an expert in? How are you going to help us?
Yeah, so I have two superpowers, right? And the first one is that I can feel inside people without them telling me anything. It's not like I'm hacking them. Like I can feel trauma, trials, wins, victories, way back to childhood. It's more of an open flow, and I just have an ability to rate inside, which means my clients are going to tell you, dude, I don't have to tell him anything. Like he already knows, and he has an uncanny ability to text me or email me or remind me at certain times. Like, how did he know? There's no way he knows. And so anyone that I've worked with and had an incredible relationship with and been able to really use that superpower with will tell you that. And so the first expert advice I would give is like, you don't have to be able to articulate in language everything perfectly. In fact, a lot of people struggle with that. They struggle explaining how they feel and what's wrong and what they're dealing with exactly. And so that's already gone. Like working with me, I'm just able to read inside and already know. Now, you may not want me to know some of the things, but as a coach and a great friend, like I got to tell you things you don't want to know. I got to tell you things you don't want to hear, not to be a dick, but to, because that's the only way to grow and to get to the next level and avoid a lot of pitfalls and save a lot of time, frankly. The second level of expertise is really creating massive and quick, rapid valuation of your business, of your service business. So we do that typically in two ways. We're the ones that work with call takers, and we're able to teach them to book wrong numbers and teach them to turn yellers into smilers and teach them to sell club memberships and light them up in a way that's a high net worth, powerful proposition way. Like I worked with American Express launching the Centurion card, that's by invitation only. A card member benefit of that card is access to a Learjet within a couple hours. It's a tremendous high level, high net worth, powerful customer experience being a part of that. And so we bring that in there. So when we're talking to your call takers, they're lighting people up. The call takers are getting Google reviews, right? And we help you build performance pay around your call taker. Nobody's doing that. You don't have a performance pay for your CSR typically, but we can get them to make 70 grand, 80 grand, 120, up to 250,000 a year as a CSR by the level of business that they can generate, which, everyone's like, oh yeah, sales, supervisors, managers, leaders. Like, well, if you're a customer, you'll tell anything to a salesperson. No, you withhold stuff. You withhold stuff from a supervisor, a leader, but the CSR, you'll tell them anything. And so we're able to expand that relationship in a powerful way and teach you what to focus on. There are certain nuances that if you're going to make a lot of money with that customer, and it's all about the right question, right? I don't believe life is a journey to gather the right answers so much as it is the right question. In the end, Josh, I think that those that ask the right question win. And the flip side of that is working with the sales techs that are going out to, this is terrible. I'm getting this crap job. What the hell? Tom's getting all the great jobs. It's like, no, this is an amazing job. And so the complaining goes away and we start saying, well, look, you're going out to solve a problem. Even if it's a shit house or a crap job or whatever, you're going to solve a problem. Okay. When you solve that problem, you get a solution. Every solution creates a new problem. So what's the new problem you're creating? Solve for that while you're out there too. And so it's being really thorough and having a level of accountability where the technician's like, look, if anything goes wrong in that home or that office or that commercial space, I know you do a lot of commercial jobs. If anything goes wrong and I was there and we do it, it's my fault. I don't care if I'm HVAC and if something plumbing goes wrong or electrical goes wrong. I need to notice that. If we handle it, we should be taking care of it. If we don't, I should come back and say, hey, who do we know that does this? I need to refer this. They need help. And so that's a level of vision that's like this. It's not just showing up at the house or something and laying down a red carpet and stepping back and knocking, hey, Mr. Joe, how you doing? Hey, did I park in an okay spot? Okay, awesome, right? I brought in the garbage. That's okay, And you're doing that kind of stuff too. Like, hey, when I'm here, I'm not just gonna take care of what's happening because I love being Superman. I want to solve your emergency. But guess what? I want this to not happen anymore. Okay, I like being Superman. It feels good, but I don't like you having to shut things down while the emergency happens. And I don't like what you have to go through. So it's okay. Is there any rooms I can't go in? Because if it's okay, I just want to make sure nothing is heading toward disaster, because if I'm here, I'm going to find it and you don't have to deal with this anymore. And then you just see me every once in a while saying hi and checking up and making sure it's working okay. Is that cool? Awesome. That's a completely different level of conversation. Very few, if any, are having that unless they're training and working with us. And so between those two things, think of it this way: $200 to $400 maybe to get the phone to ring. Maybe 150, maybe less. I don't know. You got some optimization, you got some tricks up your sleeve. But if I answer that call, even if it's a wrong number, if I answer that call and I don't turn it into massive amounts of profit, I'm not killing it. And so if my CSR can dig and be thorough and keep them happy and not be pushy, but be amazing and blow them away. And I got 3 trucks showing up for heating, plumbing, and electrical, and they feel like an absolute king. Plus, I got a club membership going over the home before they even ever used this before. I got a Netflix subscriber now. I got a subscriber. It's like, oh, you have 1,000, 15,000 clients. Oh, prove it. Oh, I can't. Well, if they have an ongoing relationship, maintenance agreement, club membership, it's a Netflix subscriber, baby. And what is the valuation of my business now? And what kind of strategic investments can I attract, or buyout options? And maybe I'm not going to sell my company. Maybe I'm like, to hell with it, I'm going to stick with the man. To hell with private. Like, I don't want private. I'm keeping my business. Guess what? You still want the offers. It feels good, right? And you're doing something right. So I would say, in working with the owners, being able to dig in and read what's going on in them before and helping them language and articulate, that's also called uncovering, right? If you're the most successful businessman in the room, Josh, you're in the wrong room. If you have the best advice for parenting and marriage in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? And so this is the idea, is it's like, we don't know what we're not good at because and I'm not just talking about anyone, I'm talking about like go-getters, like people that are winning. We don't know what we're bad at. And we do, but then we'll lie to ourselves. It's not that bad. How's your marriage? Good? What does good mean? Good sucks. How's that wedding reception? Yeah, it was good. How's the new movie? Yeah, it was good. Like, good is terrible, right? We want it's outstanding. It's lit up. I'm on fire. We're going at it like rabbits. Like, maybe you don't share that with everyone, of course, right? But you want to be able to have that. Yeah. Right? I'm running home to see my baby, right? I can't wait, right? Versus stuck at meetings and never home. And that's a weird thing, right? Because it happens like, why would I go home if I'm at my business and they're treating me like a god? And I'm a god, kind of thing. And I go home and say, take out the trash, It's like, hey, I'm going to be stuck in meetings and work subconsciously, not necessarily on purpose, but because I want to pretend it's not that bad. And pretend I don't want to be there in a way. And this is kind of getting deep and real in a way, right? But we got to do it at some point, because if you think it's good, it's not. It has to be outstanding. And she's got to be lit up and saying how amazing you are and feeling like massive electric intimacy all the time, or else you're not doing as good as you can. And so I'm just throwing out some things to think about, because, we have these 6 levels of fire, of pure fire in a business. And that family is one of them. Finance is one of them. Freedom is one of them. Fitness is one of them. Fury, like coming out and back faster from negativity and mistakes. So I think finding that inside you guys uncovering. You already know, what's not that great, but we don't want to admit it. It's like, it's not a problem, it's a challenge. Okay. What does that mean? Right. And so we're languaging it different, but because we're languaging it like that, that's the actual problem. That's what's creating is like, we do that all the time, Josh. We lie to ourselves. Oh, she stabbed me in the back. Really? Where's the knife? Where's the scar? But how you say that, she stabbed me in the back. Like you feel it, like you feel pain, like in your back almost because of how you're languaging. So the expertise really comes from being able to read and feel inside and articulate what's going on, because most people won't and they don't know how to. And then it's driving that service business operations for tremendous success. And I'm talking rapid, like the first 30 days, maybe $200,000 and $300,000, $400,000 pop in the first 30 days doing it like that, depending on the call volume, right? And then, doing that again in the second month. And now you're like, oh my gosh, we grew almost $1 million. Even as a smaller business, even a $300,000 shop could pop to 6 or 8 in the first 60 days, and so this is really powerful stuff. And what's the most common thing you hear from people? It's going to take a while to ramp up. Do you believe that, Josh? Come on, man. You have done it faster. You've done things faster. I've done things faster. We're driven to do things faster. That's for people that are wusses. That's for people that are like not born to do what they're doing. And I'm not taking anyone down and criticizing anyone by any means, because I understand there's difficulties and there's different pieces and different levels of situations that we're all dealing with. But the reality is if you're doing what you're born to do, one session, one training, boom, there's a huge difference. There's a pop, and you can post about it on social media, and people are like, how the hell did you do that? You could either say, I don't know, we're just having fun, or you can say, Jeremiah helped me, Shop on Fire helped me. We don't care either way, We just want you to be able to post about things that people are wondering, how the hell did you do that? So that's what we're expert at.
That's amazing. I'm going to pause for a second so my audience can absorb what you just said. So it's like drinking from a fire hose, and I just asked you one question, man. No, it's that's amazing, and I am really excited to kind of dig into that. I'm more curious about your first superpower before we get into the logistics of what you can do. Your first superpower of being able to actually feel people without them telling you what they're feeling. How do you suppose you developed that?
Well, from an early age, I used to get in trouble a lot, and I couldn't understand why. And it wasn't because I was a bad kid or I was just really adventurous. I was really adventurous, and sometimes I was a complete jerk as a kid, right? I did bad things sometimes. Not more about the adventure and about finding out and discovery and stuff like that, like putting paint in the washer and saying, what happens? What happens when you do this? Can you change the color of clothes? And imagine my parents, are filling sleeping bags inside of the dryer and saying, hey, tell me what happens when I shut the door and turn it on. Is there a fire? What are you seeing? Like, how is this happening? I was just naturally curious, like a Calvin and Hobbes kind of thing. But I think always being able to know what people didn't want me to know. And then I would say it and they'd get pissed because we're very protective of trauma.
Yeah.
We don't want people to know. Like I said, hey, we're launching this really cool program for people that are maybe getting divorced or have gotten divorced. It's a Shop on Fire program. It's called Epic Parent. Idea is like save the marriage if you can. If you can't, you're going to have the best spouse ever within a year. And she's going to be best friends with your ex. And like, we're going to get along. We're going to have the most amazing co-parenting plan ever. Who wants to do it? Nobody's like, oh, I'm almost going to get divorced. I'm in trouble. Like you're not going to get anyone. Right. And so that's it. That's a thing where it's like, okay, we got to position this differently, but from the time I was a kid, I would like know things inherently. I'd feel, and I didn't know what I was doing really at the time. Emotional intelligence is one of them. Being, super insightful, there's a bunch of different words for it, but it's like, just, I just knew what their truth was before they said it. And I knew things they had gone through. I could feel it. And I thought everyone did this. I thought it was as normal. I was like, everyone does this. Yeah, boy. Well, no. And then people would get pissed and I'd be like, how come I'm not allowed over there anymore? And I didn't do anything wrong, but I'd said something that revealed something that they didn't want others to know. So part of it is maybe like discernment, right? part of it is an empath, like a deep, powerful empath. Part of it's insight. That's probably a word you were thinking. But it's like now at this level, it's so big, like I can feel around me and like multiple buildings and stuff and inside of it. And I'm not trying to do voodoo weird shit. Like I literally just feel it and it's not overwhelming. Like I watch Bruce Almighty and he's getting all these prayers and he's like trying to respond yes to all in the email, if you remember. And like it blew the whole world up because yes to all was like really bad. Yeah. And it was piling up. It's not that level, because if you take your heart like this, and every time someone does something vicious to you or aggressive or abusive or like intense, your heart goes like this and closes. And now it's trapped. And the only way to get it out is to do something similar to someone else. So someone blows up on you, then the only way to get out is you blow up on someone else. And that's how we work. Now the heart's more shaped like this and kind of beats like this, right? But it's like, this is an idea. So this is Jeremiah's heart surgery. This is what I call it, open heart surgery. So you got to open it and then it flows right through. And so, oh, right. And you feel it like, oh, I feel that under my third rib. Okay. Yeah, that's not that big of a deal. Who cares what they said, right? Or whatever. But it's like, oh, up. And then you just feel it flow right up. And so I always started doing that. And then it got bigger. And then in 2015, I was at a Tony Robbins event, if you know Tony. And he does like, yeah, some TR or some weird, yeah, he's a giant, he's huge. I think he's like 6'7", and I've got big calves. I worked really hard to not have, pencil legs, and they're big now and stuff, but I didn't have that always, and so he's got big ones. But I was at an event in 2015. It's called Date with Destiny. The Unlimited Power Weekend's like a 3.5 day. Date with Destiny is like really deep. It's like 6.5. And I'm like, I'm only going to the events where Tony's there the whole time. Like, I want to do the ones that he's not there. That was kind of my focus at the time. You can learn from everyone, of course. And I'm there at 2015. Date with Destiny happens in December, and he calls me up. Okay, so this is what happens at his events. He doesn't always do this. And I don't know what happens at the overseas events, as much. But he will take somebody, and he calls it a strategic intervention, and he will just start working on them and digging in. And he only takes someone that he knows like has a massive, hard, super hard to solve problem that maybe is almost impossible, but that wants to get past it. Because if they don't want to, I don't think he plays in that space. And he's like, hey, you come here. And I'm like, no. And he's like, yes. And I know, but you have cohorts. Okay. So remember, if you went to college, actually, I think you kind of did a different path, a really unique path, which I'll ask you about later on that comment. But I did college and I did an MBA. It's I don't know how far it is. You guys have, let's see, is it Phoenix, Tucson? You got locations there, Albuquerque, Houston, like some of those other places. So it's Glendale, Arizona. It's a school called Thunderbird School, MBA, international business, is ranked 26. The number one school in the world for like 26 years or something, right? I'm getting a plug for Thunderbird. Okay. Nice. Don't cut that out. They're awesome. Okay. Thunderbirds are awesome. But it's like, I was doing that, and I thought, I'm trying to learn and develop, and I'd never developed the skill really, just kind of like, randomly. But when Tony, that cohort, like we had in the MBA class, that cohort pushed me forward and was like, you have to, like, he never does this. It's $1 million a year to coach with him. This is free. It's like, well, not free, because I bought the diamond, whatever. So I spent like 10,000, whatever I spent to be there. And so I go up there and he starts digging in on me and working with me. And 40 something minutes later, I'm on fire. And I'm like, I could feel the whole crowd of the Unlimited Power Weekends have like 15, maybe 18, sometimes 20,000. The Day with Destiny is smaller. It's like a little more smaller, a little more intimate, like 6,000, 5,000, something like that, which is still a lot, but it's a lot different feeling. And now he's kind of doing like live and virtual. So I don't think they have that big of in person anymore. But to answer your question, and I'm giving a really articulate answer because people out there are going to have this too, maybe, and then they connect and it helps them expand. That's my hope. And so he started working on me, and he just opened it in a way I've never felt before. And I could literally feel everyone, not quite the heartbeat of the whole crowd, but like everyone. And I'm just like, I felt amazing. And I felt connected to everyone. and I could feel love, and I could feel like worry, and I could feel like focus, like, come on, let's move on. This guy, taking too long kind of thing. Like I'm talking right now, too long. And so all those things are happening. And I'm just like, holy hell. Well, this guy came up to me after the strategic intervention, which blew me away and changed my life. I think my website has a couple pictures of that on the About Me or something, with Tony. And he said, hey, Jeremiah, I coach the Olympic soccer coach for Canada. He's one of my clients. I'm a really powerful, and he said, I took meticulous notes and I feel a calling in my heart to coach you for the next 3 years for free. And I want to make sure that every single thing he taught you and every single thing that he opened up in you grows and expands. And he goes, I'm not going to let you pay me. Like, we can work out something later if you want to make donations or something, but I feel in my heart, I must do this. And I was stunned. I was like, okay, because you know how it is. It's hard to say yes to people sometimes, and it's hard to accept that help because you're so used to, it's a different level of leading and delegation and passing off responsibility. That's different than actually accepting someone's help.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's too many questions around why they're doing it.
Yes. Yeah. And the other thing is, if you were like me, because I learned at that event, my deep, powerful inside question, we have one question, I believe, in the deep core of our soul. It's a primary question that we ask that drives everything. And mine was, how do I make things better? Seems good, seems honorable. But guess what? If my woman spent 3 weeks doing something really cool for me, and I walk in as a surprise, and my immediate question is, how do I make things better? Is she going to accept that gift? Is she, what the hell are you trying to make it better? What, I'm not good enough for? Like, not that, like, that's where it goes. We've all had conversations with our woman about something similar, but this was like, wow, I'm literally not, I want to serve everyone else, but I'm not letting someone else who wants to serve do it with me. That's a different level. That's a different level of leadership. And so he opened it up, and then he followed up with saying, hey, I want you to come to this training with my top 5 business coaches. And I want you to attend, and they're going to teach you everything they know. They're going to give you workbooks and all the training and all the stuff that I've developed and built. And you're going to be there every day for free. You're not going to pay anything. We got lodging and class and all that stuff. So could you just stay another 5 days after the day with Destiny? Yes. Right. Of course. And I did that. And then they're like, sent me on my way. And I thought, what a beautiful gift to give me this like $1 million coaching experience, basically. And I quantify it like that because he charges $1 million a year to coach people. But one session is a year's worth, 5 years worth. Then this guy commits 3 years to help me. That's a really powerful. And by the way, it's been 8 years and it's not free anymore, So, but we've, he's my mental game guy. And you got to have multiple coaches, I think, just like in any sport. And so that's where it began. From that moment, Tony really opened it up and accelerated it. Then his teachings and his coaches and this Olympic coach guy, and then going through a lot of hard stuff, man, some really powerful, like a divorce and custody battle, 1.2 million, like a lot of really, really intense things. And we ended up being what we wanted eventually, but man, it was like, should I just go start over? A real man is like, oh, well, I have this, I could go have some other kids and just maybe, it's like, no, I gotta stay in my daughter's life. So having that deep, powerful push that just shreds you to the core. And you know what they say, right? Like, you have your son and you'll die for your son. You have your daughter, you'll kill for her, It's different, it's different. Oh, I know what boys can do. Get out of here, right? And so that, to really answer your question, and I'm hoping to connect with a whole bunch of different people on what I'm sharing, but yeah, that's really, I feel like, I guess I was born with it. I just didn't know how to wield it. And sometimes it got me in trouble. And sometimes it gave me like the most deep, amazing relationships with people ever, where it's like, you felt like you knew each other for 3 million years, and you could connect in 1,000 years from now and pick right back up where you left off, which I think we do have some of that. You and I have some of that chemistry too, of just that connection and stuff. But wow, that's where it's at. And Tony ripped it open. I give him complete credit. And I've worked my guts off since 2015 to build that and use that I call it Olympian level mental and emotional fitness, Olympian level.
Yeah.
And we bring that in all our teaching and coaching and training as well, which is I want you ready for World War III. It'll never happen, hopefully. I should be careful mentioning that with all the stuff going on in around the world right now. But I want you ready for shit that'll never happen to you, but ready anyway. So if you don't have to face it, you can help coach and train someone else through it as well, if that makes sense.
Wow, that's amazing. So it's a behavior that can be learned, although you had a natural instinct that gravitated you in that direction, but you had people around you who nurtured it from you and who really helped you develop it, which is great. I'm just repeating it back to
Yes.
you so I can,
Yes.
help the audience kind of absorb what it is that you're saying. So I got a question.
And by the way, Josh,
Yeah.
I do the strategic interventions live.
Yeah.
When I speak and train live, I've got 5 trainers that I've trained how to do it, and they won't do it. They're like, nope, not doing that. I'm like, just find one person in the crowd that's got something that they haven't been able to overcome since childhood. Even if it's in an HVAC business or plumbing, whatever, it doesn't matter, or at a trade show or whatever, that's fine. But just grab them and work with them and get the crowd involved and help them blast through it. And they're like, yeah, no. And they want, and I'm like, well, what if we don't pull it off? And I'm like, well, that's the leverage. You have to pull it off or you're embarrassed and everyone calls you a clown. So that's what you use, and you dig and you dig and you find a way. And so far I haven't been able to get any of them to do it with anyone else other than each other. But I still do that when I speak and do trainings and trade show and breakout sessions and stuff like that. I'll still do that, and people love it.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's an amazing thing to be able to do live. Now, I'm sure not a lot of people are able to do that, which is why, some of your people are saying no, I'm sure. So before I want to set the stage a little bit more, and I want to challenge you a little bit. You've got incredible energy, Jer, and it's amazing. It's going to connect with my audience like crazy. I want to make sure that we have enough time to ask all the questions I want to ask, though. So if we could maybe tone down the answers a little bit from a length standpoint,
Okay.
not a lot, just like maybe 3/4 of the length or between half and 3/4. I think it'll be easier for my listeners to absorb what it is that you're saying, and I want them to because it's so important. And I'm here talking to you live, and I'm absorbing it, man, and I can feel it here, and I want the same for my audience.
Yeah.
So I want to ask my next question, which is, by the end of the episode, what is it that you hope that our audience at this point, will take away from this conversation?
Yeah. So I think what I hope the audience will take away, right, is take away number one, that there is training like this in our industry. I mean, a lot of people have taught for a long time and it's the same stuff over and over and over again. And there's nothing wrong with repetition. Like, repetition is the mother of all skill, but praise is the father of all skill. Right. And part of the praise comes from adjusting with your audience, mixing things up, doing things differently, and ditching the PowerPoint and just teaching on the fly based on the audience. It's a scary thing to try to do for a lot of people, but knowing that this kind of training is available, it's not just run of the mill canned stuff. This is super customized training where one shop, and by the way, we don't tell anyone who's working with us. If they want to say we're using Shop on Fire, that's totally fine. But I found a really interesting in the industry, and people are very territorial. And even in mixed groups, no one shares the real thing of what they're actually doing. That's the ultimate X factor, in my opinion. I don't know if there's always going to be times when that's not exactly true or not true at all. Some people are like, blah, 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 and just say everything. Right. But for the most part, I found that people, even if they're in different markets, because you never know what could happen. Like, you might buy a place where your buddy's mixed group is, or, I was like, no, I won't do that. I'm loyal. It's like, okay, yeah. But they don't say it. They don't say who they're using. They can, but we don't. So we're very, we do a non-disclosure and stuff like that, because we're looking at a lot of stuff in the business. and we keep it all proprietary, and we're a vault, and we never share any of that. So that there's access to this kind of training, that we literally are tight-lipped, everybody. And even on the notes I take in our CRM, you can't see my notes, you can see principles, right? And so they know the principle, like, oh, Jeremiah's teaching this principle, okay, but the detailed notes they can't see that. And the reason we did that is because early on we realized this had a massive impact and really changed the game and gave you some pretty powerful domination, because we're not even raising prices right now. We're just saying, like, make more of what you're already doing. And essentially it's like, be resourceful. But I want the audience to know that this is optional for you. You can have something that works right away, that changes your business right away, because everyone's always like, oh, it's going to take like 6 months of ramp up time, and then by 12 months we should see this. Why does everyone talk like that? And why does everyone accept that? That's just ridiculous. What they're really saying is, hey, I'm in this, position. I probably shouldn't be, but this is where I ended up. And, you wouldn't accept that. You wouldn't stay in a position that you weren't really driven and passionate about, just from there's no way. Right. And so it's like, but a lot of people do. And because of that, everyone has that conversation. Like, I want a year commitment. And so it's like, dude, if you're good enough, you should have a year commitment. You should never need to enforce it. And you know what? If it takes 2 or 3 months and you kill it and we help you get there, and then you want to run off and do something else, you shouldn't be stuck. You shouldn't be stuck. And it's like, hey, we could do it in 3 months, what it takes, years for other people to do. So that it's available, that it's powerful, that it's customized, and that if 2 of our clients, because we do retreats sometimes and bring a bunch of clients, because I'm in Sarasota, Florida, and it's like, it's beautiful. If you know Siesta Key, there's a MTV show or whatever. I just want everyone to know that this kind of training is available, that it's powerful, and that if those clients talk to each other like, wait, he's teaching, they're training in this, we're doing this. We didn't even hear of that. And it's like, sometimes I'll speak and train, and then our coaches know, like, oh crap, we don't have any curriculum on what he just trained, or spec. and so we taught our coaches, like, ask them more about it. Like, well, what was he talking about? Well, he did this and this and this. Oh, okay. And they let them recap it and then flow with that. Because I just all of a sudden come up with something on the fly right in the middle of stuff, based on who's there and who we're working with. And so it's a super intuitive, that you can get super intuitive training. It's not canned at all. No one else is doing it. And it's specifically just for you, to work with you. And not only, keep in mind, it's not just the owner, it's not just the field, or the owner, the office, and then the field. It's the customers and what you're planting in their heads. Right. And so I would say, taking away that, and then the other part, and this is what I want everyone to remember. When bullshit happens to you, when life is down, when it feels like there's nowhere else to go and there's nowhere else to pull it off, and nothing is working, and you're banging against the wall endlessly, and maybe people left you or gave up on you or won't invest in you, at that moment, victory is near. And if you can just hang on a little deeper and a little longer, if someone says, I'm leaving you, I hate you, I never want to see you again, that hurts, and that hurts bad, unless you've done it a million times already. They're like, who cares? You already said that, right? But that hits deep. But guess what? In that moment, if your kid comes up to you, Josh, and says, Dad, I hate you, in that moment, are you sleepy? No. So those things happen. You're alive. Someone cuts you off. You lose the funding, the strategic advancement, there's financing was going to help you scale. And it's like, oh, why? That intense energy is better than an energy drink. It's better than coffee. It's better than cocaine, or whatever you guys are using out there. Right. But that moment of total unfair, complete bullshit is a gift. It's live, free energy. And if you use it, you can break the Earth's surface and launch into orbit. Does that make sense?
That it makes a ton of sense. And that's probably one of the most valuable pieces of advice that we've gotten and given on this show. Because really what you're saying is, at the end of the day, lean into the pain, right? Don't see pain as something that creates a victim out of you. See pain as something that happens for you, right?
Yeah, like run toward it.
Run
Don't run
toward it.
away from it.
That's right.
Run toward it, not like in a sadistic way. Like you run toward it like, yes, awesome. This is awesome. What am I going to learn? And you're curious. Get curious. That guy just cut me off, that mother beep, right? And it's like, wait, I wonder why he cut me off. That's so interesting. I wonder what's going on in his life.
Yeah.
Huh. And you get curious and all of a sudden the game changes. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
No, that's amazing. So really, if I'm hearing you correctly, you combine an element of coaching and an element of training, right? So there's a mindset and there's a logistics that you intertwine, and that's how you help businesses, not necessarily just the business owner, but the businesses themselves grow. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it's kind of like we see training as a blast of mastery, right? You go to an event, you're jacked up, right? And we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of companies and attendees that are like, dude, after your training, first of all, we were like standing on the chairs and jumping around and stuff like that. Like it was nuts, not just technicians and sales, like everybody, CSRs, the accountant lady gets up and starts boogieing and stuff, right? Because it's this real pure energy that I'm bringing that everyone's like, oh, I like this. I like this. But that's the boom, like it jumps up 50-60%. That's the fire hose stuff, which probably it feels like a lot when I'm talking, a lot of fire hose stuff, right? But it's like that's the pop of the blast of mastery. But after that, then what? It's like, okay, well, we kind of did some stuff. Okay, we kind of did a little bit more. And it starts sinking because growth has a short shelf life. If you grow, you can't just stick it. And faith is the same way for those that believe in God or the universe or the great spirit, whatever you want to call it. I call it God. You call it whatever you want based on your belief system. But that's that. It's got to be going and ongoing and active, And so it's really based around that. And then the follow up is a bigger jump. And this is where most people fail. Josh, you and I know in this industry, you have to do training. You have to, but nobody wants to. And so where it comes, it's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. So we've even like positioned ourselves sometimes where we'll go in for train, American Standard, Daikin, Carrier, Goodman, Amana, and we'll go in and teach the territory manager guys. Or we'll go in with their t-shirt on. It's our company. They're paying us as our company, but we'll go in as them to just, it's like all the training is boring. It sucks. And the one that is energetic, it's like a fake energy. Like someone was, popping some energy caffeine pills or something. And it's like, he's out of shape. Like, come on, man. Like you can feel a fake, like jittery, jacked up energy versus like real intense human spirit energy. And so you got to have both. Most people just do that training and they're like, hey, we're good, or they'll do a couple months of coaching and they're like, oh yeah, this was all us from the beginning, kind of thing. But both are crucial. And the ones that did the training and the ongoing, and then another blast of training and then ongoing, we recommend every 4 months, But remember, when we do this, every time we do a training, you get a double upgrade. So if you got like a Corolla, like it's now the Lexus, whatever, or the BMW, or like the elite car at Hertz, right? So we can get your people jacked up 2 or 3 times more than normal, and they will play at a higher level after that training for at least 3 to 4 months. And then it kind of starts going down. So when we do it, we give into the nervous system and start rewiring stuff and doing it. It sounds like weird, but maybe electrician, probably everyone gets rewiring, actually, even plumbers. So we kind of rewire stuff and change meaning. The only meaning in life is the meaning we give it, and if you give it as this is bullshit, this job is crap. Why do I have to get under the house again? This sucks, right? If I give it that meaning. And so having the training is crucial. But what about during the summer? How do you do coaching during the summer? Do a 10-minute call, unplug, get your head right, and get back in the game so you don't make as many mistakes. I promise if you're an HVAC guy at a company and you're in the summer, you're making so many mistakes.
Oh yeah.
It's like you're driving around. Oh, there's gas in the car. Oh, it's low. I don't have time to get gas. Yeah, but you need. I don't have time to get gas. Now you run out of gas, and now how much time? Right. And so we do a special turbo training and coaching during the summer for those HVAC guys. That's like rapid and powerful and quick, and it just pulls them away just enough so they're head straight. And what we do is, this is very different. I don't think anyone else has ever done this in the industry, maybe, but we get you to different levels of mind. Okay, so up until 8 years old, you're in alpha level of mind, which means you're the equivalent of asleep and dreaming, but conscious. Okay, and that's why everything's imaginary to a kid, and anything's possible. At 8 years old, it goes to beta. And beta is just like a low level of consciousness. It's a low level of intelligence, right? And then to get like think of it this way. I go into a class of first graders. Who wants to learn how to plumb? Well, let's do it. Try that in high school. Who wants to learn to plumb? Or who wants to clean a toilet? F you, right? Like that kind of stuff. No one wants to participate. And that's what's happening. So we have powerful tools that they can access 24/7 to get them into alpha level of mind. And then deeper is theta, which is the equivalent of a sleep, and full deep, but you're conscious. At that level, Josh, distractions make you more focused. Imagine I'm out on a job or I'm running my company and it's crazy. Let's say I'm HVAC and it's summer, like that's an intense one. Imagine the more distractions I have, the more focused I get. That's genius level of mind. So we build that too. I wasn't going to share that. We usually just share that with clients, but you're a good dude, man. So I'm giving you a little bit more than I normally do.
Dude, I really appreciate that, because that's some next level shit, and I think people really need to hear this. So I want to be respectful of your time. You're still good. Maybe if we go over just about a couple minutes.
As long as you want.
All right, cool.
As long as you want, you got it.
I just got a couple more questions for you. So, I'm really intrigued by what you said about going fast, right? And you're speaking my language, right? And Inc. 5000, fastest growing companies. Like this is my MO. I have to work. Beautiful. And it takes a lot of energy to reel that back in, because as the business gets bigger, pace of change means something different to me than it does to my employees. So I want to know from you what you would say to someone who has either a fear of going fast, maybe a business owner, right? A fear of going fast, or something logical in their head saying, going fast isn't the smart way to do things. They got that inner voice. What would you say to somebody like that to get them, to expand their thought process a little bit?
Well, I mean, first of all, amazing question, and yes, and a lot of credit to you for what you've been able to do. And awards are one thing, but what you've done since some of those awards is another thing. And I do throw out a lot of credit to you, even being aware to, hey man, I do need to dial back here, and but I think what happens is, you ever have like a moment, and it just seems to take forever. You're like, dude, this is like, are you kidding me? Like, this is 2 minutes later. How's that possible? Right. And then later on, we're having a conversation with this amazing dude named Josh, for example, right? We're having this and it's like, what? It's already been like, time's up. How? And so you have this fluidity of time. And what I would say to that question is, there's really no such thing as fast or slow. And I'm not trying to get all Buddha or Bruce Lee or something here. There's really just opportunity and recognizing when the window of opportunity opens. If you don't climb through that shit, it's gone. And when it closes, Josh, it's gone. And you're not going to get it again. Maybe in 20 years or 15 years or a different time frame, something similar comes back, but not the same thing. And so we got to say, hey, look, what does carpe diem mean? You remember Dead Poet Society with Robin Williams? Is like, seize the day. Like the dead are calling, like, keep going, dig. Like you can do more. You can do more. And so I think that figure out how much sleep you need. For me, I'm a night owl and an early bird. I mean, I'm going to bed at like midnight. I get turned on late at night. And my woman's like, oh, she's a school teacher, elementary, amazing, amazing, awesome lady. But it's like awesome lady, awesome woman, awesome mom, and she's incredible. But it's like I'm literally going and I'm sleeping 4 hours, maybe 5, and I'm checking my vitals and I'm doing my blood work and all this other stuff, and I'm good. It's like maybe I'm not sleeping enough. I have to take a sleeping pill to sleep past 4.5 or 5 hours. And so it's like, what's your motor? What's your motor? Go your speed. And you got to do those things. You got to work out, guys. You have to work out. You got to eat good. You got to mineralize. I start off the morning with 10 ounces of water with a pinch of Baja Gold sea salt. Like I used to use pink Himalayan, but it's from China and there's metals in it and stuff. So that Celtic salt, I like that more. Yeah, that's the stuff right there, too. I knew it. We're like brothers, another mother, and so it's like you do a pinch of that, you use a little frappe thing or whatever if you want, or just shake it up. You throw that down first thing when you wake up, you're immediately mineralized, okay? And your metabolism starts popping, okay? And the reason I say is because like we weren't taught to drink salt water and stuff, but man, that Baja Gold, I think it's like the sodium chloride's a lot lower. It's like 84, 85%. So all the rest of that percent to 100 is minerals. And you need that stuff. And it changes the game. No more cramps, no more headaches. And you're like, you're feeling good. So, I mean, you got to do that stuff, right? You got to do your breathing. Like, why wait till you're gassed to breathe? Why not breathe like that ahead of time before you're gassed? And already have the oxygenated blood. Breathe heavy for no reason. And then when you get to the point to where everyone else is breathing heavy and slowing down, you just run right past them. Does that mean you're going too hard? No way. You're ready because you're sustained. You got the water, the hydration, the mineralization. I'm not talking anything else yet, right? And those other supplements. And I do like Gary Brecka a lot. He talks about testing your genetics to make sure what your body doesn't absorb. So he's like, guys, you don't pass cancer genetically. You pass the ability or the inability to absorb something. Your body won't absorb a vitamin or a mineral or a nutrient. It won't absorb it. So it has a deficiency. And in that deficiency, you develop cancer. Like think of it like a car where I'm pouring in lube and I'm pouring in oil and I'm putting in gas, but one of them won't accept the lube or the oil, the gas or whatever, the crankshaft fluid, whatever. And it like keeps spitting it out and not taking it in. Well, something's going to happen to the car. And so he kind of does it that way. And you want one of those tests, like a methylation test, a genetic methylation test. There's cheap ones, there's expensive ones, but just find out what your body won't absorb.
I don't mean to interrupt, but for those out there who have done 23andMe and these genetic testings, you can get your raw data from 23andMe, and then there's websites you can go to see, to actually run those tests yourself, because 23andMe doesn't actually do it. But that's how I ran my methylation test, is by using my raw data from 23andMe. So that's possible out there. Gary Brecka's stuff is also very good, very cool.
Yeah, and he's like right down the street from us. He's like an hour down in Naples, and then Grant Cardone bought his company, and he's funding him, and it's I love his stuff. And he says all you do, figure out what you don't absorb and get the methylated version. So I have a methylated vitamin, and I have some of those other things. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you make sure you're getting enough rest, if you make sure that you're getting hydration and you're getting a good metabolism, and I shared how. And if you make sure that you go on another step and just figure out what your body won't absorb, then get the methylated version of that and get it in you. You can do whatever speed you want for as long as you want. And I would argue slowing down. Well, I think I heard a podcast of you one time, Josh, and I think you were talking about how you wanted to be inside more. You remember that? Like I wanted to stay inside more and not go out as much. You remember doing that? I heard a podcast of you one time talking about that. I thought, you know what? When older people as we get older, we kind of start domesticating and like not wanting to do as much. It hurts us, man. Like you should see me work out or play hoops or football and all this stuff I do right now. I am bouncing around, running around. I'll put in probably 5 miles in a 60-minute workout and chest. Boom, I'm doing pull-ups, chest. And I'm running back and forth, jumping up and down, flipping around. Everyone at the gym's like, oh, that's just Jeremiah, or Jerry. Like, they know it, right? I'm not running people over. But my answer is, and I've given a lot of different pieces, so maybe a lot of different people could connect. I'm not doing it like elongated on purpose, other than to just give everyone something that they need. But my answer is that as long as you're getting the right supplementation, and as long as you've got to take care of your body, guys, you have to do that. And there is a lot of that in the industry, and there's a lot of not taken care of, especially a lot of the technicians, they're strong as hell, but like you need that. And your top, make sure your top performers, especially, you're doing that as well, owners. And and then it's hard. You don't want to just like, hey guys, go get in shape. It's not like that. It's more like, how do I play at the highest level and have this a massive, powerful machine of a body at the highest level too? But I think the speed's out. But there is a place to unplug. There is a place to take it easy, and there's a place to not respond to emails and like hang glide and shit and jump off a bungee jump and parachute, like all that. Yeah, for sure, absolutely. But I think you can go as fast as you want as long as you're doing those things like you're doing and like I'm doing.
That's really cool. And you know what intrigues me most about everything that you do and everything that you're about and with Shop on Fire and all that is your approach to integrating wholeness in all this. And I think that as I listen to you, that's what makes you so unique, is that most of the time you have to go to 5 different places to get what you offer.
Yeah,
And, business owners out there, especially blue collar business owners, right? We're always looking for that integrated solution. Where's that ERP system that can do my accounting, my quoting, my scheduling, my accounting, all of this kind of stuff? I want it in one system. Oftentimes we can't find it. And in this, what you're offering is this whole integrated solution in this, top down mind, body, soul, business type approach, which I don't know that I've seen. And I think that that's incredible, and the approach that this industry and these businesses actually need. So, hats off to you for that. My final question for you is: if you could give advice to somebody to implement one thing in their business today that can make the biggest impact for them, what would that be?
I think my advice on that is going to be something that everyone listening right now, hear me now. Everyone, I want you to hear me right now. You take a real approach at yourself. We know what's wrong, but we lie to ourselves. And especially the go-getters, Josh, guys like you and me, where we're just like, it's not a big of a deal, I'm good, kind of thing. And it leads to trouble. But if you look at yourself right now in your life and you're like, divorce the story and marry the truth. That we're telling ourselves a story every day. I'm building this, I'm doing it for this, I'm doing that. This is why I'm doing that. That's why I'm treating you this way. That's why I'm making you do this. That's why I'm punishing you. That's why I'm rewarding you. We're telling ourselves a story. But is it true? And are we stuck? It's like, and there's different levels. Like you and I both know, like you can succeed at a high level. There's so many beaches you can visit and drinks or waters or smoothie. Like and it's like, is this all there is? Is this all there is? And being able to language it in a real way, so it's like, it's not, she stabbed me in the back or that jackass. Like we had this beautiful shop and he died. Why would he do that to me? And I've heard that, and I've heard, they ripped me off, or this was my idea, and like they stole my business. Like there's all kinds of stuff that happens. And I've been in over 1,000 shops, if you can believe that, in the last 8 years. It's hard for me to believe. I don't tell you I'm impressed. It impresses me. It's crazy. But it's like, I've seen everything. And the biggest, and think of it this way, to answer your question and to go a little bit deeper, because you got to go deep at this one. You say, when I work with you, I don't solve the problem. I solve why the problem is a problem. And by the way, if you have a wife and you try to solve the problem, how is that going to go? Okay. of it that way. But if you solve why the problem is a problem, she fixes her own shit. She loves you. And that level of understanding is deeper than anything you could imagine, because a woman needs to feel understood. If they don't feel understood, they don't feel loved at all, no matter what you do. You can break the world in half and they won't feel it, right? They have to know that you understand. And so getting beneath it, it's a deeper level of work. Why is the problem a problem? And being real with yourself and quit lying to yourself. And all you guys out there that are go-getters, you know what I'm talking about. You're telling yourself it's better than it is, right? And the reason for that is because it bounces back faster. I went in court, right? And I remember being accused. They used this social investigation report against me. And it said that I believed I was better than I was. And they're like, this guy's deluded. He believes he better than one. And all I said was, hey, listen, true, I do believe I'm better than I am. But guess what? Every time I make a mistake or have a failure, I'm right back at it, baby. The people that believe they're better than they are, I know it. I know it's crazy. And it's like, yeah, whatever. But they're back at it and they don't get stopped and they keep going. So trust yourself in that. But there are things in your life that are not better. And no matter how much you believe they're going to be better, they're not better. And you have to be honest with yourself. And that's the biggest thing that we do as coaches and working with you, is we tell you things you don't want to know, and we tell you shit you don't want to hear. Not every day, every time, every second, right? But in moments of total rapport, we're able to share that and get that in. And you got to do that to yourself. You got to be totally honest with yourself. Like, you know what? I suck here and I need to fix this. Like, I haven't been amazing with my kids. Like, yeah, I funded them and I'm show up at stuff, but even then my brain's on my business. I'm not even present. So I would say be present. That's something you've understood. I'm sure you've worked on that a lot in your life for sure, Josh. I can feel that. But it's like, just notice. You got to be truthful with yourself and say the real thing. It's like, well, it's pretty good. No, it sucks. But it's okay, because I say it like this: while it sucks, I'm going to find a way to make it better. And you know what? I'm going to have fun doing it. And we take it to that level and turn it into something beautiful. So I would say that for sure. But that's a great question.
No, that's a really great answer. You know, a wise man once told me on this podcast, in fact, don't don't wait for the business to give you permission to live your life. And that's always resonated with me. And I heard those words echoing in what you just said. So really, really powerful stuff, Jer, and I really appreciate it. Listen, we're running short on time, but where can people find you if they want to learn more about you, if they want to learn more about Shop on Fire? You know, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I love that. Now I would even, if I'm able to, just share,
Please.
give yourself permission to live your life. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so funny, but a lot of times we got stuff in our minds or in our lives that are running that make no sense. When I was 4 years old, mom told me, don't do that. Right. So is it okay if I share a super quick little story?
Yeah.
So one of my coaches hates shirts and ties. We can relate in the industry. We can relate. He hates shirts and ties. So his wife is 4 years younger than him. So when he was 18, she was 14. They had a connection, but it's like, you know, totally different age. So he had to wait till she was 18. They kept building the friendship and they got married. And he's like, I hate shirts and ties. I'm going to build a company so I never have to wear one. So he did. And she got pregnant and he was closing a deal. And he showed up to the hospital for their first baby in a shirt and tie. And she's like, babe, what are you doing? He's like, what are you talking about? She's like, you got a shirt and tie. And he goes, yeah, but I'm a dad now. And she said, babe, where did that rule come from? And he said, I have no idea. What are the rules in your life that are running on autopilot that make no sense at all? So giving yourself that permission to live. You can reach us at shoponfire.com. Our phone number is 844-626-6634 or 844-MAN-ON-FIRE. I got a lot of different social media. You can find me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. It's Jeremiah Webb official, Jeremiah Webb, JeremiahWebb. It's a mouthful. If you read the Bible, Jeremiah is easy to spell, but Jeremiah Webb official. And I have some really powerful stuff on there. Some's on business and some's on relationships, some's on parenting, because, people will say, leave that stuff at the door when you get to my business. No one can, no one does. So being able to deal with and take care of and handle those things as you go and be your true self in your position is, what we're able to help them do. But yeah, man, it's super honor, big pleasure. You're an awesome guy, Josh. I hope we can do it again soon. I look forward to it. And I think you're doing something really amazing, man. And I love that you built this podcast. There's a lot of different things in here that you've sought out and the questions, and you let yourself get interviewed, at times. And it's amazing. It really, we're parenting 5 kids, and 3 of the 5 have already been watching your stuff, and we're getting all pumped up for the episode with you. And we're all in, man. We love it and we appreciate it. And however we can help and share and open and invite and promote you, man, we would love to do that.
Oh, likewise, Jeremiah. This was fantastic, and just impossible to fit all of the insight into one single episode. So, I mean, no, and that's a good thing. That's truly a compliment, and speaks to how passionate you are about what you do, and how much knowledge you have behind it. So, I think my point in that is that maybe we will have to set up an episode 2 one of these days to start extracting even more from you, because I think it's really going to resonate with my audience. So thank you again, man, for lending your valuable time, coming on the show, and sharing who you are and what you're about.
Anytime you need me, let me know. I even said, hey, you can go as long as you want. Anytime you need me, man, I'll be there. Okay.
All right, you bet. Talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the Blue is the New White podcast. Be sure to subscribe to get the latest episodes. For more, please follow at Josh Zolan on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. Or visit us at blueisthenewwhite.com, where we create success, not debt, and build blue-collar heroes.